Good evening, my name is Samuel Boggs, and I'm here with Mr. Steve Makoski, and we're just going to ask him a few questions to hopefully answer some of your questions you might have as well. So first tonight, sir, I guess the greatest question is, why are you running for school?
Because I won on the school board.
Yeah.
No, all kidding aside. Hey, look, I noticed that we have an academic decline in achievement for children over the last 10 years. And I think that I have some of the skill sets necessary. And I think this will help the school board to help make some decisions and be able to move that needle in the opposite direction. Other than going down, we need to move it up. Right now, our children are part of our community. They are our future. And I don't think that our Springfield public school system right now is actually meeting the challenge necessary to help make successful children and the success of the future. So why am I running? Because I want to help change that. I want to help foster that change. I want to break down some of the barriers that we may have and be able to build futures for our kids. So that's why I'm running.
Thank you. I guess the second thing is, how is your campaign going thus far?
I think it's going exceptionally well, really. And for the most part, I think I've been putting up a lot of signs.
Yeah, I've seen them already.
And that's nothing. I mean, somebody's always texting, they're always calling, and coming by and just getting ecstatic about the signs, And it was we had a simple kind of projection. It just says Steve Makoski, School Board, and I don't know what else you want to put on that other than my picture, and I don't think you want that, but to be quite honest, I think we don't have polls necessarily. So how do we gauge whether we're doing well? The bottom line is people just call, and all that communication, people begin to understand what it is that they think is effective. The number one thing is to get the vote out. Oftentimes, school boards, they tend to have a low turnout in voters, and that's a concern for all of the people running for the school board. Just getting people excited, getting them out, and as I can tell, I'm gauging the excitement is pretty high at this moment. So I think
I guess another question I have is, what do you believe to be the most important role of the public school system? I know we kind of touched on it earlier.
Well, the thing right now, when you say role, that could be a conglomerate of things. But as a school board candidate and getting onto the school board, obviously it's a fiduciary responsibility, budgeting, those type of things. But we have one employee. The 7 members on the school board has one employee where that employee is the superintendent. And it's our charge, it's our duty and our responsibility to be able to ensure that Springfield Public Schools have a strategic plan that is up to date, and then we charge our employee, the superintendent, to get out there and put that strategic plan into action. Now, how that superintendent does that is certainly up to the superintendent. But it is our role to continue to monitor that. We should be measuring all the time. And you really can't make a lot of decisions unless you have information, data, like the conclusion of the decline in academic excellence. In this case, how well are our teachers and our educators actually doing within the school system, and how well is the superintendent facilitating that and leading that charge. And so that is our role, is to continuously engage with that superintendent, make sure that we're ensuring the success of our students.
And then I guess one thing that's been currently happening, the Missouri House just recently passed the bill, House Bill 1814, which would allow open enrollment across the state. And if that bill were to pass in the Senate, I guess my question is, do you believe that SPS should allow open enrollment, and why or why not?
Well, I've always been one that believe that the money should follow the children. And we should always have open enrollment, in my opinion. And so the real question is going to be, how do we stop on the average 11 to 1,500, somewhere in that neighborhood, of kids leaving our public schools over the last few years? And that, how do we stop that? How do we retain our educators? How do we get people to want to come to our schools rather than leaving our schools, right? And so I think maybe open enrollment might help facilitate something like that. You just don't know that. And so I think, remember I talked about measuring? Well, this might be one way that we'll end up finding out whether it's going to be a successful bill or not, and have an open enrollment.
Awesome. And I guess the last question I have for you tonight is, what do you believe makes you a unique candidate?
Oh, you don't have enough time. No, in all earnest, I think I'm a unique candidate because when I was 9 years old, I got put in a foster home. And so I lived my life some hard ways, until I graduated high school. I went and joined the Navy and that. And I always told myself, I said, I'll never let my kids do that. And I wouldn't want anybody else's kids to be put in a foster home. I mean, because you're not loved a lot of times, It's kind of a hard life. But I wouldn't want that on anybody. And so I can bring some background that lends me different ways of thinking, and having that ability to think in ways that we can start bringing people together. I spent 20 years in the Navy. My naval service helped me understand how it is as I traveled around the world 3 times. I lived in Europe. I lived in Asia. I married a woman that's Japanese. We've been married for 43 years now, and I learned to speak Japanese, obviously, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it really is. And so being able to have the experience with different cultures, different economies, those type of things, where a lot of people, they just stay in the local area, and the mentality that they may have is about their culture here. Well, we have so much more out there in the world to see. Well, I bring that to the table, and that allows me to be able to share that with the other board members, and maybe it could be a deciding factor that can help us achieve that academic success, or a program that we should have on, or whatever the situation may be when I'm on that board, And so I think I have a lot of opportunity to help with the deliberation, be a leader on that school board as well. And I want to be able to fill that role, and I think I would be good at it.
Thank you.
Thank you.